I understand that your brother Bill was killed in the North Tower on September 11th. I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you for taking the time to appear before us today. And I understand that in memory of your brother, you've spent the last 20 years trying to get justice for him and all those lost on 9/11. Can you speak about your experience having watched over a dozen military commission proceedings, whether justice being done, and what's the best thing we can do to ensure justice for Bill and those lost on 9/11?
Thank you for the question. So the arraignment of the 9/11 accused happened in May of 2012, and family members are permitted to watch these hearings from several sites on the Northeast, or five family members are chosen by lottery to travel to Guantanamo to observe the hearings that way. Our organization applied for an NGO observer status in 2015 specifically so we could send one family member to each hearing to closely observe what was happening. And through our time there, and we're now the high 30s, maybe even into the 40s now of how many hearings have occurred, we've watched delay after delay after delay, then COVID delay and more delays. So in 2017, we began exploring seriously what a pretrial agreement may mean. We talked to legal advisors, we talked to federal prosecutors, we've talked to people with legal expertise. And it seems at this stage in time, we are not really closer in the commissions. We're still in pretrial hearings, and at this moment in time, pretrial agreement could make things happen and could bring some resolution.
That would
to families.
bring some resolution.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, thank you. Brigadier General Baker, thank you for your 32 years of service in the U.S. Marine Corps. Can you speak to how concluding the military commission proceedings can be done in a way that protects the security of the American people? And do you agree with President Bush's assessment that the detention facility became a propaganda tool for our enemies?
Thank you for the question, and thank you for thanking me for my service. The negotiations of the pretrial agreements that have been talked about would be, needed to be done in good faith by all the parties, and there's been a demonstration that can be done. The not doing that seems to be the worst possible option. I do want to talk a little tiny bit about the delay that you asked Ms. Kelly about. There really are three aspects that are causing the delay in these proceedings. The first, and I use the acronym DID. The first is the death penalty. The death penalty is just keeping these cases going on in what seems to be in perpetuity. The second is intrusions. There's just been a history of government intrusions into the attorney-client relationship. And the third is the discovery. The overclassification and hiding of information that we can read about in the newspapers has just put these cases, really kind of stopped them in their tracks. But we can overcome the DID acronym through negotiated plea agreements.
In your testimony, you actually described several violations of attorney-client privilege, including the seizure of documents clearly marked as privileged, the placement of hidden recording devices in rooms where detainees conferred with their attorneys. What effect did these attempts, you mentioned it briefly, to violate attorney-client privilege have on your staff and other attorneys serving as counsel for the detainees?
It has these intrusions have set the hearings back literally years at a time. There was a hearing last month that was a closed, classified hearing that looked at and looked into intrusions that occurred in 2017. So it's delaying the procedures, and it is, and we're hiding secrets that we read about in the newspaper.
Last question, Major General Leonard. Thank you for your 37 years of service, my staff just told me. Since the Bush administration, presidents have expressed their intent to close the detention facility at Guantanamo Bay, with President Biden being the latest to state his intent to do so. And yet, as we just discussed, despite the efforts of multiple administrations, the facility remains open. Can you please talk to us about the steps that need to occur to finally close the facility and how we as a Congress can act to ensure that it is closed in a way that maintains the security of the American people?
Well, I'll be brief, Senator, but first, put somebody in charge with the authorities to work with all of the various government agencies who have actually done a pretty credible job. But there needs to be somebody within either the NSC or the White House that can do this. The second part, and obviously I think General Baker and Ms. Justin have discussed this, is the piece of bringing in the federal courts and negotiating plea agreements. And I do believe, I am not an attorney, but I have been told that those federal courts can still operate on Guantanamo Bay's soil through video teleconferences and things of this nature, once we've taken the death penalty off the table. It seems to me that the desired outcome here, particularly for the families of individuals like Ms. Kelly here, is to get closure. And I would offer that once we have convictions and sentences, and by the way, I have no empathy for those individuals that committed these horrendous crimes. If they are locked up for the rest of their lives, so be it. But let's give the families closure, and let's demonstrate to the rest of the world that we use the laws to hold our criminals accountable. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you all. And I wish I had more time. I'd ask the other witnesses questions, but for those that I spoke to, thank you for your clear and measured response. This is not easy, especially for you, Ms. Cutley, but for anyone. And I appreciate how you've thought this through as a way to protect security, but do this in a way that gives the families the closure that they need. So thank you. Senator Cruz.